It is 5:30. Excellent. Welcome, everybody, to the December meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Thank you all for coming tonight. I'm going to call this meeting to order. First up is our citizens' general discussion. This would be if there's anybody here who would like to speak about something in general regarding planning and zoning, not something specifically on our agenda. Go ahead and open that meeting, or open that. No? And nobody wish to speak? All right. I will close that. Next up is our approval of minutes. We need to consider approval of the November 2025 minutes. Commissioners?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Next up, actually, we are going to switch up the agenda slightly. We're going to move to number 5 on our list, the PD, so that everything else is just flats and we can get through really quickly. So we are going to go ahead and move to number 5 on the agenda, which is application number PD 9361. Applicant Alex Bryant, representing TSU Catholic LLC, is presenting a conceptual plan for a plan development PD for property located at 1292 West Washington, parcel R77944, being block 134, lots 12, 18, 30B, 31, PTSOF, 1334 West Washington, parcel R30249, being block 134, lot 40, ATM machine, 1350 West Washington, parcel 30251, being block 134, lots 1, 5, 28, 1245 McNeil, parcel R30278, being block 134, lot 38A, 1255 McNeil, parcel 30280, being block 134, lots 38, 1303 McNeil, parcel R30272, being block 134, lot 32, 1345 McNeil, parcel R30271, being block 134, lots 31, S150, 1353 McNeil, parcel R30270, being block 134, lot 30A, and 1357 McNeil, parcel 30269, being block 134, south 150 feet of lot 29 of the city addition to the city of Stephenville, Erath County, Texas.
Wow.
Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Again, thank you for reading that. If I had to do that, we'd be here an extra 15 minutes tonight. So, as you know, first of all, let me back up just a little bit. Mr. Alex Bryant is not going to be able to attend tonight, but Mr. Reagan Thompson, who I know the Commissioners are familiar with, will be making the presentation. To provide you a little bit of background information, in 2023, Mr. Thompson presented a development plan for what you may recall as being the front porch development for a rezone request to plan development. The plan development was approved in ordinance 2023-0-09 was adopted, and Mr. Thompson has provided updates on the project since that time as required by ordinance. They are now coming to us requesting amendments to the development plan, and because of those amendments, they are being required pursuant to the PD ordinance to make a new application, and that is in process now with the conceptual plan being presented tonight on the new plan development that they're proposing. The applicant will return for a rezone request to plan development and approval for the development plan at the January meeting to the City Planning and Zoning Commission. And at that time, the commission will make a recommendation to the City Council for the February council meeting, and we will also have to make a recommendation on the previous ordinance 2023-0 or 0-09 to repeal that ordinance so that we can move forward with the new PD if so desired. Again, the action tonight is to provide information or feedback to Mr. Thompson and his development team regarding the conceptual plan, and there is no formal action being taken tonight. As a reminder, however, we did receive one letter of opposition that was forwarded to you earlier this afternoon. We don't necessarily have to act on that letter of opposition. We will keep it for the January meeting and make sure that that's read in the record. And with that, Madam Chair, I'd be glad to answer any questions. Otherwise, Mr. Thompson has about a 10 to 15-minute presentation he'd like to make. Thank you.
Any questions for Steve? All right, Mr. Thompson.
Good evening. Can we pull up that presentation? You got it. Perfect. Thank you very much. Good to see a lot of familiar faces. Chairperson and Vice Chair, thank you very much for your time. And Commissioners, thank you for your time. Thank you, Mr. Killen, Mr. King, city leadership and city staff. As we've been working through this project, going on 3.5 years to get to the point that we are today, very excited to present this project to you. Proud to grow up in Stephenville, proud to be from here, proud to raise my kids here, and I'm proud to bring this project before you to go through the details tonight. What we've done is we've created a PD presentation that's going to touch on a lot of the high points of the PD, as well as, of course, our formal PD package. We've spent a great deal of time assembling the right team that I've asked to join me, to join as a development team, as well as the right architect, civil engineer, and capital partner for a project like this. Since the last time you saw me, we have acquired 3 additional lots in the back on McNeil Street to assemble the current land assemblage that I will go through to support a project like this. So the bottom line is we're thankful to be here tonight. With me, I've got Steve Halliday, who is owner and architect on the project for 97 West. He will get up and also make comments. Reese Flanagan with Flanagan Land Solutions, which is our civil engineer. Reese, thank you for joining us. And our capital partners represented by Kevin and Nick, who will also make comments at the end. As Mr. Killen mentioned, Alex Bryant with Street Realty had some prior family obligations that have been planned for over a year that fell on today's date and will join us at the next meeting. So the bottom line is what I wanted to go through with you was the project that sits before you, which essentially is 2 5-story structures that support 206 units of purpose-driven student housing, and joined by a parking garage dedicated to those beds in the middle. If you go to the next slide, please. Oh, I've got it. Okay. So, thank you. This slide here, what I wanted to do was provide an overview of the development team and touch on some high points of the team that I brought in to help develop this site along with me, so you can know who they are. Street Realty is founded by Ryan Dotson and Alex Bryant. Their VP of Planning and Construction is Dustin, and then myself, founder of Reload Capital. A couple of highlights of Street Realty. Street Realty is a full-service commercial real estate firm based in Fort Worth, Texas. They bring more than 80 years of commercial real estate experience. They have more than $250 million in real estate assets under management and development, and have completed 54 projects spanning infill mixed use, purpose-built student housing, retail, office, light industrial, and self-storage. Street Realty brings extensive multi-asset class expertise with in-house capabilities across acquisition, development, construction management, financing, accounting, and reporting, property management, and leasing. Reload Capital. Reload is a Texas-based real estate development firm headquartered right here in Stephenville, Texas. Founded by myself, the firm focuses on strategic development, organizational leadership, and business growth. Reload Capital most recently completed the redevelopment of the 1938 historic Long Hotel in downtown Stephenville. The firm has led pre-development efforts for this site and this project in front of you today, including land assembly, demolition, and environmental abatement coordination, stakeholder engagement with the city of Stephenville and adjacent property owners, resulting in approval of the initial entitlements. Going forward, Reload Capital will serve as the project's local ambassador, working closely with city planning staff and community stakeholders to support a transparent and well-coordinated entitlement and development process. A few highlights that I wanted to highlight in regards to the development team are 6 projects. Starting in the top left, you see 404 Border in Arlington, Texas, which consisted of 135 units, urban student housing for UTA, the campus of UTA. Next to it, you see the Rosedale in Fort Worth, which was 100 beds, on-campus student housing for Texas Wesleyan University. Next to it, Magnolia Avenue in Fort Worth, 18,000 square feet retail condos. On the bottom, you see the 701 in Fort Worth, which is 70,000 square feet of urban mixed-use development. Next to it, you see 142,000 square foot business park off of West Loop Business Park, and then, of course, the Wyatt in downtown Stephenville. What I wanted to do was highlight a couple of key excerpts from the Stephenville Comprehensive 2050 Plan. I was fortunate enough to be asked to be involved with that planning and workshops prior to development. And the first statement that I wanted to highlight was relieve pressure in neighborhoods by adding purpose-built student housing close to campus. Wanted to highlight that as we look through this project tonight. In regards to the vicinity map, this is the location. Again, since the last time I stood up here, 3 additional lots have been acquired on McNeil Street to support a dedicated parking garage and the current development that you see currently. Survey, site plan. This is a view of a conceptual rendering from Washington Street. You've got Building 1 facing Washington Street with the joint parking garage that joins Building 2. Also, our neighbor to the east, which is Cold Smoke Coffee and Barefoot, we have a shared parking agreement with, and they have agreed to be part of this development project, so their facade will be updated to match the facade of the new project. Next slide, you'll see a north elevation and a south elevation. Next slide, you'll see signage and green space inspiration. This site will feature green space, kind of a flex space for people to enjoy. This is some inspiration of signage and green space. The next slide is an overview slide of really the nuts and bolts of the project. To the left, you see a conceptual landscape plan that exceeds the landscape requirements for the city. Bottom line on the right goes through details of Building 1 and 2 for a combined 206 total units, 523 total beds, with 541 total parking spaces. Those bedroom parking spaces will be numbered, assigned, and dedicated to each person in those bedrooms. Next slide, you'll see the unit floor plans. On the left, you see 1 bedroom, walk in, kitchen to your right, utility to your left, living room in the back right with the bedroom and a bathroom. To the right, you see a conceptual outline for the 2-bedroom units. You walk in the front door, again, kitchen, living room, and then 2 bedrooms with 2 bathrooms. And then finally, the 4-bedroom floor plan. You walk in with a shared living room space and kitchen, and then you've got 2 bedrooms off to the left, 2 to the right, all with their own restroom. This is showing kind of an example of a signage that we're going to use for the bed parking that will be numbered, assigned, and reserved specifically for those beds. And then finally, another rendering from Washington Street. So again, with that being said, we wanted to put together this package to present the nuts and bolts of the project and how we got here today. With that being said, I'd like to bring up Steve Halliday, our architect with 97W, followed by Reese Flanagan, followed by our capital partner. So thank you very much.
I don't know what's left to say. Reagan, you took the whole thing. My name's Steve Halliday. I'm with 97W. We're an architect in Fort Worth and grew up in Weatherford, so Stephenville was the rival, but I still like it here. Anyhow, I think the point of our presentation is really that our project at 1334 West Washington directly addresses the Stephenville's documented housing need and provides high-quality, purpose-built student housing right here at the doorstep of Tarleton State University. So we did research that 2050 plan and sort of try to dial in a plan that addresses some of those needs and some of those intentions that the city has made efforts. Sort of to Reagan's point earlier, we know that the commission's previously reviewed a concept that included ground floor retail and fewer residential units. And so just to head that off, really this development, the team studied mixed use seriously, and residential only allows us to deliver a project that is fully occupied, well managed, and financially stable. It also kind of removes some of the challenges of mixed uses. Sometimes, anything from conflicting parking demands, it complicates deliveries, trash, services, some of those things. And really, we're thinking of this project as more of a horizontally mixed-use project rather than a vertically mixed-use project, because this project now delivers residents and housing units to a place where these residents will now provide the pedestrian activity and the pedestrian traffic that those current and future retail uses need to survive. So I really, I mean, Reagan crushed it. He already covered all of the things that I was going to cover with the site plan. I mean, we can talk through those pieces, or we can just kind of skip through that and get straight to questions. Kevin, you got?
Any questions for the architect?
Yeah.
Questions? No? Thanks, sir.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add. I think you all are probably aware, I worked on the engineering with Reagan a few years ago on this site, so we're very familiar with water and sewer and drainage in the area. We've already started the preliminary engineering work, so we've met with city staff, met with the fire marshal, feel very confident with our preliminary designs and the infrastructure in the area. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but as you all know, my part's probably the boring part of tonight's presentation, so.
Good afternoon. My name is Kevin McGlon, and I'm an Arlington resident, grew up in Fort Worth. I'm very excited about being here, and it's really been a pleasure getting to know Reagan and being here to be a part of his project and to be a part of this community and to look at really an amazing town that has grown significantly with a really important university. I wanted to give you a little bit of background about not only Southwood Capital, who's the capital partner for Street Realty and Reagan on this project, but you know, Alex couldn't be here tonight. As Reagan has said, he had planned a pretty special vacation. He wanted to cancel it. I said, you know, your family is more important than anything else in your life, so you need to go. But I have known Street Realty for probably, gosh, over 15 years. I served as chair of planning and zoning for our city in Arlington. And Ryan Dodson, who grew up in Arlington and graduating came back to Arlington to really start a career in real estate, was one of those young, he was like Reagan, you know, but 10 years younger, right out of college, 25 years old. And I saw him through numerous zoning cases. As a matter of fact, a couple of the projects that were up there on the wall earlier were projects he built around our university at UTA. And I remember seeing him come through with an incredible vision and did some amazing developments in our town. I don't know if you've ever been to Arlington, but downtown he redeveloped an area called the Urban Union, which was an old Luke Riley Honda car lot that I'll never forget when he came through for that zoning case. I sat there, Madam Chair, in your seat, and I thought, this young man is out of his mind. And today, it's one of our most successful destination mixed-use developments in our downtown. It's horizontally mixed use, which means it has housing, it has a variety of number of restaurants, and he's brought some really great restaurants into our town that I don't think we would have ever had. And it's served the community well. It's very supportive to our university, but it's also incredibly supportive to our residents. I've lived in Arlington for 36 years there. My son's with me tonight, who's working with me now, which is a blessing to help underwrite this project. And having seen Ryan come through in numerous different zoning cases, which, by the way, were all usually unanimously approved, he's delivered on every one that he ever came through in our city. And now having watched, it's interesting to have come back full circle 20 years later in my career to actually be working on a project with him is pretty fulfilling for me in my career. And that will lead me to the capital partner. So I am chief compliance, well, I want to say basically chief operating officer for his family office. And it's a gentleman by the name of Sloan, and he owns a large architectural firm. Matter of fact, the building you saw earlier on 701 Magnolia. And if you've ever come to Fort Worth and eaten at Paris Coffee Shop, right across the street from Paris Coffee Shop is VLK's headquarters. And Mr. Harris is the majority owner and CEO of VLK. It's an extremely large architectural firm that has offices throughout the state and throughout the country. His primary source of business is education. He's one of the largest architectural firms that serves K-1 through 12 in terms of architectural services. So he runs procurement all the way from the election for the school district to raise the funds to full completion and procurement for their schools and their facilities. About a year and a half ago, I became his advisor in terms of helping him structure his family office. And he has, a number of different initiatives in his family office, but his number one pillar in terms of where he wants to put his capital back into communities is in education. And having done that in his career, he sees it as a really important project to be able to fulfill, opportunities to support students and support education. So that's why we've come together on this project. Our family office has been involved in probably 3 other projects with Mr. Dodson that are current right now that we're in ownership with him. We've been involved in prior projects that have actually sold and been recapitalized. What I like about this development team is, first and foremost, is the fact that we have Reagan coming to a town like Stephenville. I don't know that I would want to be here unless Reagan was here. I think that having, a young man who's accomplished himself and his family, we understand the importance of this legacy for the Thompson family. And, the first and foremost thing that we really want to do is be able to deliver his legacy for this family and support him from a capital standpoint. It's a large project, and it will require significant capital. And the relationships that we have, so the structure, we come in on developments like this and become a co-GP. So where Ryan and Alex are running the project from a development and ground-up perspective, and you've seen the expertise that they have, we'll come in and partner with them and not only provide capital to capitalize it, but also strength of a balance sheet to go out and get the financing, which is something that when I used to be on that side, Madam Chair, I always looked at the quality of the sponsor. What have they done? What are they able to do? And what's their track record? And I would invite you to go to Street Realty's website. I would invite you to do a little bit of research on them. I think you'll find them to be everything that I told you, and I wouldn't be here if they weren't. And the other thing about this is it really takes a strong team, and having someone like Reagan who will continue to lead our project, and you did an awesome job. I mean, I haven't had a question come up yet, so maybe they're gonna hit me with them, but having someone that's local, has a legacy family here to be able to lead our project is something that I think we're very excited about. Because it's hard to come into a small town, when you're a developer that's outside. And we didn't want that perspective. We wanted to be here to support his family to be able to get this project to become a reality. This is the first step, and the goal is that we have a successful zoning. We know that we're going to have some neighbors that are going to have some questions, and we've got one tonight that has submitted an opposition, and we'd like to obviously reach out to them and talk to them about their concerns. And if there are other neighbors or community leaders or stakeholders that have concerns, obviously we want to be able to address those concerns before we come back to you in January. We've got a great plan put in place. Then the next steps, as you all know, we have the land under control. And the goal would be to make sure that we have to get the entitlements before we can close it, because that's a requirement for our capital. And then once we have the entitlements in place, which include primarily the zoning, we would begin to move forward, in full earnest for pricing out our plans, because it gets expensive once you go to schematic and you go to building permit status. And so the goal would be to work with staff, make sure their questions are addressed, make sure that we're applying to your ordinances in terms of landscape and design and setbacks, and surely we'll have some tweaks to our plan to get there, but we see it as a team approach. And I don't know, I think I've covered it, but I wanted you to meet the team, and I wanted you to know that we understand the importance of doing the right thing. And I've been fortunate to have a 45-year career and worked for the same man for 25 years. And it was funny because our mission statement that we always had for our company is that it was real quick, and it was just, we do the right thing. And I think that's something that I want you to know that we'll do here in your town. And we're excited about being here. We're excited about potentially changing your skyline a little bit, and we just want to make sure that any of your concerns or questions are addressed, and we'll do the homework to make sure we give you the answer that is the right answer, and we won't answer it if we don't have it. Do you have any questions of me?
Commissioners, any questions?
Okay.
The
Thank-
overall height, do you know it yet?
Well, I'd looked to my architect, it's 5 stories, 57 feet, top of parapet.
Is there retail on the bottom, on the bottom floor?
No, ma'am.
No, strictly
No,
housing?
and
Okay.
you know, that, I know when Reagan's first plan came back, it had quite a bit of mixed use and retail on the bottom. And I'll tell you, and this has been my experience, both in my development and in my entitlement side, is that, you know, I always look at mixed use in two ways. There's suburban mixed use, which is most successful, of which is horizontal mixed use, which means you support the platted lot next door. Vertical mixed use gets really challenging because as soon as you put another use on the ground floor, if you're dealing with a coffee shop or a restaurant, you're competing with somebody next door. And you're having to build in grease traps, you're having to sometimes move to a podium for that particular part of the building, which significantly increases it. In this case, we like to have the activity to where the students can step out on a stoop to the street. And the financing and the capital markets, usually the capital markets will not give you any monetary value for retail because oftentimes it's subsidized by the owner of the building. They don't get really true rentals income. And you see, and this happened a lot of times when I was on the commission in Arlington because we had a requirement that you had to have retail on the ground floor. And as commissioner, I struggled with that, but what I found out was that in many of those cases that got passed, we had those applicants came back later, usually 2 to 3 years after those projects were developed, asking to put residential back into that retail because we couldn't keep it leased. Long answer to your question,
Yeah.
but I wanted to give a
Yeah.
reason for why we had shifted to that. And we want to honor the horizontal mix of uses that are around us today. And we think that, you know, we've got some good quality uses, and we see a lot of opportunity for things, particularly with the Barefoot family and those folks that are next door to us to flourish with this development.
All right, thank you.
We see it
sir.
as an amenity for us, quite frankly.
Wonderful. Thank you
Any
very
any
much.
further questions?
Is it going to be strictly for college students, or is it just kind of tailored towards?
Well,
college?
it's what we call purpose-built student housing.
Okay.
And so, as you know, we're not able to say who can live there, who can't live there. If a family wants to live there with a bunch of college students, they're welcome to do so. But typically with purpose-built student housing, I know as myself, it would be difficult for me to live there, mainly because unless it was just me solo living in a studio, because you're renting by the bed, so you're not renting by the unit. And that's what's so cool about this, is it facilitates all the needs of a student to where they have all the amenities within the drip line of that building to support their school activities. Any further questions?
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank
Appreciate
you
it.
very much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your commitment to Stephenville.
Thank you. Before I open a public hearing, I'm going to invite Jason King up
Okay, I'm sorry.
up to the podium to give us his thoughts.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioners, I just wanted to visit with you for a minute as you start looking at things tonight. One, we've kind of partnered with Reagan all the way back to the beginning of the original development. And then certainly over the last year or so, countless meetings on what's before you tonight, as it's been through different iterations, different thoughts, what could work, what couldn't work. Some of this, I think, is a case of still, you know, as we've gone through, we've got a comp plan, but now we're working through land use. If the land use, which our goal is to make the land use match up with the comp plan, then this area is town center in the new comp plan, which specific to student housing is one of the uses in there. I think some of the feedback that y'all have gotten, I've gotten, city council's gotten, as we've looked at large projects like this in other places, is feedback is put them next to the school. Well, you can't get any closer. So as you guys kind of want to delve into the details in a minute and offer up some feedback, I wanted to talk about just a few specifics in there as you guys talk with them here in a minute. One of those is pedestrian improvements on Washington. That was part of the original PD. It is still part of this one. That partnership with us and TxDOT still exists, and so that would still happen. In the first PD, we ultimately allowed in the cell phone tower height to go from 80 to 125 feet. That hasn't taken place yet because a project hadn't happened. And so you'll see that again in the, just crossing over from one PD to the next, not asking for an increase or anything else, stay at the height that's been approved already. And then the other one that you guys will probably would want to ask about would be those parking numbers, because we have lots of conversations about parking when it comes to that area of town. They're looking at a 1.1 ratio, I believe, as opposed to the 1.5. We've had a lot of conversation about that. With what this is being built to be and its location and proximity to the university, I don't have any real heartburn about that. I don't think this is the kind of development that you're gonna have a lot of vehicular in and out visitation traffic. Essentially what we're building is a dormitory just on private property. So I think the pedestrian enhancements is really one of the bigger things I'm looking at to make sure, because I think most of the visitation and those things is gonna be cross pedestrian traffic across Washington. And so with that in mind, I didn't have any real heartburn over the parking numbers as we talked about it, specifically with their plan that they're gonna have designated spaces for every bed in there, to make sure, you know, and have that be a managed parking system. So those were just some of the highlights, but we've spent a lot of time talking specifics to this project. And I think maybe we've got it in a fashion that can work for them and work for the community. And so just wanted to visit with you a minute as y'all prepare to kind of give feedback to them. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to go ahead and open a public hearing. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak in favor or against this rezone request? Yes, sir.
I'll speak in favor.
Come on up to the podium. Give your name, address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Joel Allen. I live at 505 Private Road, 1082, and been tracking this project since the beginning. As a builder and developer here locally in Stephenville, I just want to say that we need this project. It's beautiful. The proximity is perfect for student housing. And I was also part of the comp plan committee, and that was one of the things that was a big part of our effort, was to make sure that we concentrate the right uses in the right areas. So Mr. Thompson mentioned pressure on housing. What that is the problem that that's trying to solve is wild parties, noise levels next to residential single-family homes that we're trying to concentrate where the university can respond to those types of issues. And also we have, you know, over 50% of landlords in this city. And so by putting all of the students, assuming that's who will be here, most of the residents will be students, it's gonna open up more opportunities for home ownership all across the city. So I think they've got the right people to the table, and it's a beautiful project. Reagan and his team is gonna do a fantastic job, and we need to capitalize on it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else wish to speak? Yes, sir. Please come to the podium, state your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name's Mike Ballou. I'm the owner of Montana Restaurant right next door. And I think this is a lot better fit than what they had originally come up with the retail space. Because of the student parking at Tarleton, Tarleton has failed to provide enough parking for their students. It's been a running battle to keep the students off of our parking lot for our customers. And I know that the projects that were there previous to this had the same problems. I had talked to the people on restaurants and bars and so forth. So I feel like this is a really good fit. It's all residential. There's not going to be any commercial for the kids to try to take a parking spot away from that commercial project that's there, whether it be a restaurant or any type of retail. So it seems to be a good fit to me. My question is the parking garage on the very back opening to McNeil Street, or it opens to Washington Street and McNeil Street?
Yeah.
Yeah, wait, let's give pause. We'll answer that question at the end of the public hearing.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
I guess that's all I've got then. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak? Yes, sir.
My name is Tom April. I have a house on McNeil Street. It's 1312 West McNeil. And trying to figure out the differences between the first project that you okayed, what was it, a year and a half ago, and this one. So if you can, or if you can put out some sort of differences, because I'm trying to guess at, okay, what's the differences? I thought it was a smaller building, height-wise, if anybody has that. And I thought that the parking was open on the back end. And now I have a 5-story parking structure right across the street from my house. It's kind of what I thought. And it opens up onto McNeil and to Washington. In all your pictures that you have, future plans, I don't see any lights or anything. Is there going to be an additional light where the people that are coming out of that parking structure, especially on, well, it can't be on McNeil, but if it's on Washington, people would use that as access. So you have 545 parking spots, and is that 545 beds also in the building? So it's 1 car per bed, and no retail underneath, no one. So on a Friday night, these kids are gonna wanna go someplace, and if there's no access, or if it's too hard to get out onto Washington Street, then they're going down McNeil, which is a very thin, I'm sure you all have been down McNeil Street, very thin, no sidewalks, anything like that. So is there plans to upgrade McNeil Street that would help with walking access down that road, and on Washington Street, if there's going to be some sort of lights or something for the kids to get their cars out on? I just can't see 500 cars, and I know it holds 500. It probably wouldn't happen, but on a Friday evening, trying to get down McNeil Street, either left or right, and it's just going to be terrible. I mean, the city has a hard time dealing with speeding traffic on that road, and also parking, which they're not allowed to park between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. because of the narrowness of the road. And I know they have a lot of stuff going on, but they can't even keep up with the people parking on the road during that time.
All right, thank you, sir. Your 3 minutes
Okay,
are up, but I've
that's
taken
fine,
careful notes.
So if you could put out something that tells us
Yes.
the differences in between what you okayed a year and a half ago and this one, that'd be great.
All right, thank you, sir. Is there anybody,
didn't mean to interrupt.
Yep.
I just want to remind you that tonight's just a conceptual plan.
Correct.
It's a pleasure of the board if you want to try to have all those questions answered by the development team, but what I might suggest is that the development team, I know, has been taking notes of all these questions, and when they come back for the true presentation for the PD, I think they can incorporate all those answers into their development
Yes.
plan request. Just wanted to put that out there as a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak for or against this rezone request?
I'd like to add one thing.
Yes, sir. Please come to the podium.
I also own a house at 1435 West McNeil, and I hope this doesn't create a problem with parking. To me, the city needs to make it no parking from 8 to 5 because the students park all up and down that street. And the police don't really have time to be there to tow those vehicles off, but they should be towed all the time, because I go up and down McNeil Street, and there is a traffic problem down where the other apartment has just been built by the railroad track. So that's one thing I think you need to look at to try to alleviate his parking problems and street problems.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else wish to speak for or against? All right, I'm going to go ahead and close this public hearing. I have taken note of all the questions. I know the developers have as well. So as Mr. Killen has suggested, that will be something that can be addressed at the next meeting. Commissioners, we are not charged with making any decision right now. It's simply feedback to the developers. So I think, just to reiterate what the various citizens stated, concerns about the parking garage, it looked to me like from the various renderings that there was egress and ingress both on Washington and on McNeil. As far as lights, I know that lights are a very specific part of our PD plan, so I expect to see a lot more development on that. Beds, I believe that I was hearing just at a 500. Steve, does that sound about right? And regarding plans to upgrade McNeil, walking access, I'm sure we will hear more about that. And then the PD, the old versus new, I know that the old plan definitely did not have the parking garage. It was open parking, and was significantly smaller in scope. All right, commissioners' thoughts, the feedback for the development team.
I was noting that something made me think of a crosswalk. And that's probably on the city, but maybe we will think about a crosswalk at that spot to Tarleton. I
Yeah,
mean.
that was discussed on the
Yes.
previous, yeah. Others?
I'd like to kind of know where the rainwater from all this is going to be stored until it can be evacuated properly, and then making sure that parking places are big enough to allow for pickups, since we are kind of a cowboy college, more or less.
Yeah, a lot of big trucks.
Because we have nowhere that we can park a pickup right now on any of the current modern parking lots that we've got. The crosswalk, of course, I kind of echo the same on McNeil. Maybe if the city can put something in to where there's no parking on either side, on the residential side and then also on this side of the property, to kind of steer all that away. And maybe since the McNeil is going to also be an entrance or exit for that parking garage, just make it strictly an entrance. That way the headlights aren't shining into the houses as they're starting to leave. And then that would put all the traffic back onto Washington that has to leave, instead of sending it back through the neighborhood.
Other thoughts? We need the housing for sure. Tarleton is only growing, and this is exactly what we came up with in the comprehensive plan, so I appreciate that. I can't say it doesn't make me nervous, though. Just because Washington is narrow and McNeil is narrow. But I know that students will mostly walk to Tarleton. I know they'll hang out in their dorms. they will come and go, though, they will, and that will be a lot of traffic, and I don't see any way to mitigate that. But it's exactly where we need it to be, which is right next to Tarleton, so I'm excited about that.
And dealing with that traffic also, Washington would be a state-funded upgrade versus a city-funded on McNeil, which would be a lot easier, especially for making that the entranceway. And then also, I see this making a huge benefit to commercial properties nearby to where we can start getting maybe some more retail shops and stuff to kind of help accommodate the residents of this area. And it should be a pretty good boost, I feel like.
All right, sure.
I'll speak to that very briefly. Mr. Tom, thank you, sir, for coming, and we wrote down your concerns, and I'd love to speak with you afterwards. Mr. Baloo also heard yours, so thank you very much. We wrote down all the comments. Pretty much all those have been addressed, and so when we circle back again, you'll see more details in that package that addresses those things. I heard crosswalk numerous times. I failed to mention that at first. Currently on Washington Street, which is a TxDOT street, which we've already conducted the TIA study on, there is a crosswalk, and that is faded, big time. When this project goes, TxDOT will fund an expanded crosswalk that's highlighted with a hawk system, with lights and reflectors to make that much more safe. We will connect our curb cut to that crosswalk. In regards to the parking garage, that's going to be designed very specifically for those with an access. And Steve can speak to the flow of that, which we'll incorporate into the next PD package. But we heard the comments and concerns, and we will address those. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, that is all we have for you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you, citizens, for coming out. We're going to go ahead and continue on with the other items on our agenda. Feel free to skedaddle. It's been a long night, and I'm sure you have places to go, so you won't offend us. All right, we're going to move on to application number PP, number 2 on our agenda, application number PP 9346. Applicant Bo Mayo, representing Erath County, Erath Capital Investments, LLC, is requesting a preliminary plat of property located at 1275 Ivy, parcel R28919, being block 8, lot 1 and 2, W70 and 1 and 2, of the S2400 Cage Edition, 378 Elm. Parcel R28920, being block 8, lot 1 and 2, E70, of the S2400 Cage Edition, 0 Elm. Parcel R78019, being block 8, 20-foot alley of the S2400 Cage Edition, 380 East Elm. Parcel R28924, being the S2400 Cage Edition, and 0 Bates. Parcel R29961, being block 92, lot 3, EPTOF, of the S2600 City Edition, to the City of Stephenville, Erath County, Texas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sorry to give you such long descriptions to go through tonight. So the applicant has submitted a preliminary plat. It's been reviewed by staff. Final plat will come back to the commission upon completion and acceptance of the public improvements. Civil plans have been submitted and they're under review. And final steps for the approval of civil plans that include completion of the remaining review items and approval of the preliminary plat. So this is part of the review process in that respect. What staff's recommending is a conditional approval. We have the conditions listed there, 14 of them to be exact. I can quickly run through those. Basically, it has to comply with the subdivision ordinance. We need the setbacks corrected on the plat. The utilities acceptance form provided show all the easements that would be required relative to this type of development. Update the surveyor's plat note. There's an abandoned alley on this site plan or preliminary plat, and we're wanting to indicate the previous abandonment by the document number there on number 6. There's also an North Bates right-of-way adjacent to development appears to have been abandoned, so we're asking them to verify that, make sure the plat conforms with the engineering design standards, then an all-weather access road be provided before construction, make sure the turning radii meet the fire code, put not for recording purposes on the plat, provide a title of proof of ownership, and then final plat to be recorded, and list of former lots in the title section that came from the Erath County Clerk's Office. So again, city staff, including Development Services, Fire, and Public Works have reviewed these are our recommendations, and again, for conditional approval as presented. With that, Madam Chair, I'd be glad to answer any questions. As a reminder, this is the Bo Mayo project. You might remember that he came to P and Z and City Council, got rezoned to R3 in this area, then he acquired an additional lot for the development. That was just recently brought into the development with the R3 rezone as well, and now he's putting all that into a preliminary plat to begin the construction. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any questions for Steve?
You said they still haven't found titles? Or
No, sir. Let me clarify on that. Before we can act on a plat, we basically have to have proof from the property owner that they indeed own the property before we have sign off on a plat.
But you already have that?
They have their owners. They just have to
Okay.
provide something to us for documentation purposes.
All right.
All right, any other questions? All right, I'll go ahead and open this to a public hearing. Is there anybody who wishes to speak for or against this preliminary plat? I will close the public hearing. Commissioners, need a motion?
I recommend approval of PP 2025-9346 with the conditions outlined.
Second.
All those in favor of approving, right, this is not a recommendation. This is
Approving the
Of
preliminary plat.
approving the preliminary plat as stated, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Next up, we are moving to number 8 on our agenda, application number PP 9362, applicants Kellen Black and Reese Flanagan, representing Pecan Landing Development, INC, are requesting a preliminary plat of property located at 004 Lane, parcel R78517, being 7.350 acres of the A0515 Motley William abstract of the city of Stephenville, Erath County, Texas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kind of change the order a little bit. You might recall Mr. Joel Allen bringing originally a PD request. Since then, he's acquired more properties, came back and asked for straight zoning. This is one of the plats, or one of the properties that he picked up to complement his development. It's on the opposite side of Forest from what you might remember, but this was also discussed and rezoned. And so for this 7.35 acres, he's looking at a 19-home site plan, and this is a preliminary plat to get that project moving forward. Final plat will be submitted to the commission upon completion and acceptance of public improvements. Civil plans have been submitted and under review by staff, and again, this is part of the review process to make sure that we have a preliminary plat to show what the development will look like upon completion. We're asking for conditional approval, much of the same as what I previously mentioned. I guess the variations here might be that we're asking to confirm the calculations on the plat to match with the Erath County Appraisal District. And then I believe the rest of the comments are basically the same. Be glad to answer any questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Steve? All right, I'll go ahead and open a public hearing. Does anybody here wish to speak in favor or against this preliminary plat? I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners?
Make a motion to approve PP 2025-9362 with conditions.
Second.
All those in favor of recommending preliminary plat with conditions, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, moving on. Application number PP 9372, applicant Colby Pack, representing Solid Ace Holdings LLC, is requesting a preliminary plat of property located at 1350 Cage, parcel R33659, being block 23, lot 3B of the South Side addition to the city of Stephenville, Erath County, Texas. Mr. Killen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is preliminary in the fact that there's still a project pending. However, it's basically qualifies and meets the criteria as a minor plat. Doesn't necessarily have to come to P and Z, but we wanted to bring it before you. Staff has reviewed the minor plat, have no comments. As far as conditions, we believe it meets all the legal requirements for the plat. Our recommendation would be to approve the minor plat as presented.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead and open a public hearing. Is there anybody here who wishes to speak for or against this plat? Closing the public hearing, commissioners.
Recommend approval of MP 2025-9372 to council.
And there were no conditions on this?
No
No
conditions.
conditions. All those in favor of approving this minor plat, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. That's it, guys. We need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Merry Christmas.
Christmas.
Happy Christmas, everyone.